you permission to unmute. Please go ahead and do a bit of introduction for us. You're welcome. Please try to unmute.
Good evening, ma. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Auntie Esther.
Yes, ma. Hello, Blue Sisters. Good evening. Please, let's start calling our sisters. I can see we are just 5. We are meant to be like 100 on this group, in this meeting now. Please, let's start buzzing everybody on our group so that they can come on board. We have so much to learn. So this Angwa, she is an amazing facilitator. She's a girls coach. I'm sure you guys are really going to have so much value. It's not what you will get is not just only for our girls alone, but for us as ladies, and also whatever we learn, if we have male children, we can also share that knowledge and impact them also. So I want you all to be open-minded so that you can learn, and if you receive any gbas, receive it in good faith. Thank you so much, ma.
All right, ma'am. Thank you so much. Tell me about the group, please.
Thank you so much. Tell me about the group, please.
Okay, so we are a year set of Our Lady of Apostle Secondary School. We finished in 2023.
Fantastic.
And so we have a WhatsApp group where we try to communicate with each other, support each other. And so when I saw your flyer, I believe this is something we can learn from.
All right, ma'am. Thank you so very much for making this happen for all of us. God bless you.
All right, ma'am. Thank you so very much.
Good evening, mamas. Thank you so much for coming out today. I'm going to just share my slide in a moment. Like Miss Esther said, essentially, we are just having conversation tonight. Some things we will agree with each other, others we may not.
Making this happen for all of us.
God bless you.
All right, ma'am. Thank you so very much.
Okay, so the streaming came up the other way, all right? So I might say something that you may not agree with. It's not a problem. You're not supposed to agree with everything that I say. However, we can still learn from each other. That's the most important thing. We can learn from each other. So I'm sharing my slide now. I started this tour in October. Am I correct? Yeah, October, yes. In October, yeah, a couple of months ago, where I'm going to hold free sessions for parents raising girls. And it's been amazing. I have met church communities, old girls associations, just like yours, children's churches, church workers. I've met quite a number of people. And it's been very much a learning experience for me as well. So I'm going to introduce myself in a moment. My name is Irene Bangwell. I am hosting this session in my capacity as a girls coach. I started coaching children and teenagers around 2008. That's about 16 years. But then I started deliberately creating programs for girls in 2012. So that's what? That's 12 years. So I've been working with girls for a very, very long time. And it's an honor to go around meeting with parents. But apart from that, I'm also an educator. I run a school. I run a charity school in a community called Kuje in FCT. It's called the 100 Naira a Day School. It's a secondary school designed for kids whose parents are struggling financially, for kids who have been out of school or those at risk of dropping out of school. I'm a mom. I'm a mom to 2 daughters and very many foster children. And through the past couple of weeks and the next couple of weeks, I'm meeting with groups of parents to talk to us about how we can know what really works when it comes to raising girls. Excuse me, please. So the Hamatan is taking a hold, but it won't knock us off, all right? So I've been doing these sessions, and usually I would ask groups to tell me which of the topics they would like me to explore. And Auntie Esther filled this in the form that she wanted me to come talk to your community about how we can talk with our girls on navigating friendships. How do we help our girls navigate friendship? That's what we're going to be talking about today. And so the goal for me is, at the end of today, I want us to be able to articulate what we are worried about. When you think about friendships and your girls, what are the things you're worried about? We want to bring it to the fore. And then we're going to look at what principles in friendship building are we supposed to pass on to our children. I hope to have this conversation within the next 30 minutes so that I can take 15 minutes to answer questions. This session will be successful if I can guide you to articulate, that is, clearly state, whenever I tell my child to be careful about friendship, this is what my fear is. I want you to be able to say what your fears are. And then in looking at those fears, we can now draw out what are the principles that we must teach our girls about friendships. All right. So let's begin. I'm starting out asking a question today. All right. The comment section is open. I want all mothers on the call today, first and foremost, tell me how old your daughters are. If you have daughters, foster or biological, or girls you just cater to, let me know how old they are. Put it out there. That's the first thing I want to hear. So I see Chinagaram's daughter is 4 years old. Excellent. So in knowing the ages represented here, to help me frame our conversation in such a way that is useful to you and are practical to you. So tell me how old your daughters are. And then the second thing I want you to do is, when you think about friendship, what are your fears? Now, you may have a 3-year-old, a 4-year-old, and those friendship risk is not yet there, but you have it for their future. So still write it down. Whatever friendship fears that you have, put it out there. So we have a 6-year-old princess. Oh, fantastic. Mama is here. Good. So now tell me, when you think about friendships, what are your fears? So I'll tell you a simple story to help you get the point. So just before COVID, we heard this story about a girl who was in the university, right? She was in the university. She had this close friend. She had chosen that she was going to keep her virginity, no bad influence and all. And one of those days, her friend invited her somewhere for them to go somewhere. And when she got to the place, behold, her friend had organized for her to be raped, because the point was that of all of us, you're the only one that is still a virgin. So a mother can look at that and say, what? You mean that can happen? All right. So fantastic. I'm seeing the list. So we have a 4-year-old, a 6-year-old, we have 18 and 16-year-olds represented in the group by Chefronke. Thank you, Mama. And Esther said her own is negative influence. All right. Auntie Folobi says she has a 3 and 5-year-old, but she also has a 17-year-old help. Excellent. Auntie Kolawole Dorian said, I've seen this name recently. You've attended one of our sessions somewhere. I think so. Yeah. So she said her daughter is 2 and she teaches children in church age 6 to 19. I am very sure that you've attended one of our Let's Talk Girls Talk sessions before, but I'm excited to have you here again. Coincidentally, this is the first time we're teaching about friendship, so you will not be having a repetition. So everything we've said here is awesome, but I've seen only one person tell me what they're afraid of. So I see. Okay, so I'm correct. I remember your name because it's very unique. Yeah. All right. So I'm looking at only one feedback, which is negative influence. So I'm going to ask us, please, let's think about it again. What are the things we're concerned about? Do we all agree that it's negative influence? Is it all negative influence, or are there other things? All right. Or negative influence is such a big thing that it, Chinagaram is talking peer pressure, people pleasing. Oh, this is excellent. My fear is making wrong decisions and choices, yeah, as a result of the people that they associate with. Excellent, excellent, excellent. All right. So fantastic. Let me move to the next slide so we see some of the things that I wrote. The things that I wrote, let me see. So I wrote this. I don't know if you agree. Fantastic. What are parents' top fears about friendships? Number one, that their children will pick the wrong values by associating with people. Anyone you agree with, leave it as a comment. Type the word as a comment. So wrong values. So I hear parents saying, I don't want her to pick the wrong values. I'm doing a lot of work. I know the character I'm trying to build. So I don't want friendships to interrupt that. Number two, some parents have the concern that, oh, she used to be this person's friend, and all of a sudden she doesn't like her anymore, or she doesn't want to be her friend anymore, and my daughter is not taking it well. So how are they handling rejections? All right. So anyone you agree with that you've ever thought about, just stop it. All right. Number three, unhealthy competition. where girls have friends that are indirectly competing with them. You're only as great as when you're not making progress. Once they start making progress, there'll be a problem. Friendships without discernment, handling rejections. Okay, so you agree with that. I'll give you a typical story. I like using stories a lot. So very many years ago, I had this friend and we're just there. We're just chill. We're newly married. No big pressure. And this one time, I don't remember the project I wanted to launch. And I remember telling her that I'm launching this project. She said, I beg you, relax, stay in your husband's house. And I was like, whoa, where is that coming from? Anyway, I started doing project, and each time I tried to share feedback with her, she'd be so negative about it. And the biggest part was the thing, oh, you can't too. It's not your type that does stuff like that. As I got older and studied more, I realized that she couldn't see herself as doing things. So every time I brought it up. So one of my own concerns about my daughters is hanging out with people who are either indirectly competing with them, people that they cannot really share big goals with to say that they're bragging, or people that will ultimately project their insecurities on my girls, that it will not become something that limits them. All right. Misleading friendships. What do I mean by that? The friend looks like he likes them, but he's doing something else at the back, right? How can my children discern when someone doesn't really care about them? This one time, my daughter had a friend that whenever they're together, the friend is all, I mean, so nice, so loving. But when she meets other people, my daughter is second fiddle. So I needed my daughter to be able to read between the line that there's something there. All right, there's something there. It may not be you. It may be this person's inability to be disciplined or manage excitement. But I always want all my daughters to be able to decipher when this friendship is saying something else and acting something else. All right. Number five, I had indicated here being taken advantage of. Some of our children are very generous, having friends who take advantage of them. Like I have a daughter who is a social butterfly. And the thing about social butterflies is that they're the life of the party. They want to keep the joy going, and they may not realize it. They are borderline people pleasers. So because they want the party to keep going, they want everywhere to be fun, people will take them for granted, but because they just want the happiness to continue, they'll continue to go. Fostering friendships without discernment, meaning sometimes you may see someone and everything checks out, but the Holy Spirit can just make you feel like this is not it. All right. So for me, these are the top six. All right. So I see two mamas participating. I would like to see more mamas participating in the comment section. And so far, so good. All right. Tell me what you've heard so far before I go to the next slide. Let me hear what you've heard so far. That's how I know that you're here, or that you did not put food on fire and then just join the Zoom call. So please, let me hear what you've heard so far since we started this conversation today. We've already started saying a lot, right? We've already started saying a lot. So let me see. Let me hear what you've heard so far. So, oh, Jaco, welcome. Thank you for joining. All right, for people who have been here since, please let us know what you've heard so far. Jaco, thank you for coming in. Please kindly write for us how old your princesses are and some of the little fears you have when it comes to friendship. When you think about friendship with your girls, what are your concerns and all? So I'm going to just wait for 2 comments on the chat telling me what they've heard so far, and then I'll move on to the next slide. That's how I know that everyone is following the conversation. All right. Ebonili says her princess is 11 years old. Oh, fantastic. Okay. Fantastic. Welcome, Mama. All right. All right. So while I'm waiting for that, the core reason also lends of our ability to discern when a friend is not really a friend. Yes. One of my goals so far in talking to girls about friendship is one core principle, which is that as a mother, all right, Okantesa said, knowing the kind of child that we have, as a mother, I want you to consistently remember that you would not go everywhere with your child. You would not meet everyone that is their friend, all right? Auntie Ojako has said, fear of betrayal. Yes. She told the friend something in trust and the person spreads it. Yeah, fear of betrayal. Yes, not getting as much as she gives her. That's what I talked about, being taken advantage of. Yeah. So one of my biggest dreams about teaching girls about friendships is the knowing that as parents, we don't go everywhere with them. We will not meet everyone with them. So we want to upskill them so much that it is not necessarily us that tells them that's a bad friend. They can on their own say, oh, this person is a bad friend. This is not a good person to have around me. So everything I'm going to say tonight is about how, not just what you're going to say to your child, but how you're going to build your child to become somebody who can discern that, I don't want to be with this person, and they'll be able to have their concrete reasons. Because oftentimes I find that when parents are hovering around children and saying, that's a bad influence, that's a bad influence, they don't tend to hear us. So how about we upskill them so that they can do the discerning and the censoring by themselves? So today I'm going to be sharing with you one core principle that you can use to build a child who can navigate friendships. One core principle. It's called self-leadership. So self-leadership means me, the child, I can make decisions on matters. I understand how to make decisions on matters. For those of us living in this part of the world, many times we don't focus on building the child to be independent. We focus on the child being obedient. Obedience means whatever I say to you, you will do. But truth is, you will not always know all the circumstances enough to say. You'll not always know all the circumstances. So what that means is, if your focus is only on obedience, not self-leadership, you will miss a very important point. Your child will find themselves in new situations and they will not know exactly how to navigate. So it's important, yes, it's important for us to say, I don't just want to raise an obedient child. I want a child that can be self-led to make responsible decisions. This is the core of all my parenting and my classes with girls is when the girl finds herself in a situation, she will know what to do. That's the principle. So in order for us to build girls with solid self-leadership quotient, there are three principles. Number one, I put them together, self-awareness and self-esteem. Self-awareness is really a part of self-esteem. So let me start with self-awareness. Self-awareness means I raise a child who is aware of herself. And this awareness means my child knows their strength and my child knows their weakness. For each of these principles, I'm going to show you how I have taught it to my children and how it's worked for us. So self-awareness says I raise my child to know their strength and their weakness and to know when it plays out. So my second daughter that is a social butterfly, she's quick to make friends. For example, she just started my school this September. She's in JSS1. And the next thing she has a friend. And just today, she was telling me, yesterday, she brought the child's phone number. That can the child join us for a church concert tomorrow? I told her, but it's in the evening. She said, yeah, the girl can sleep over. Call her mom. She's always trying to create social experiences for peers. And the reason is like she likes to keep people happy. She likes to entertain people. And so there was this time she had a friend that was toxic. This girl would say the meanest things to her. One time, my daughter was going to school, and I asked her, where's your earrings? She said she doesn't want to wear earrings anymore. That one of her classmates says people who wear earrings are going to hell. And I was like, how did people's conversation get there? And she would share some of the things that girl was saying. I would be worried. And I started showing her how, instead of telling her, stop being friends with her, which was important, I started telling her, Princess, should your friend treat you like that? Bringing self-awareness. Are you not beginning to feel small when you're around her? You want to say something, you don't feel like saying it. Is that how it's supposed to be? I started telling her, I said, because you're a social butterfly, you're a sanguine, you want people to be happy, you're joyful. So sometimes you don't pay attention to people that are not treating you right. Now, mamas, I'm not going to be in school to meet all the people that my daughter will meet, right? So in providing her self-awareness, not just don't be friends, in showing her vulnerabilities, it prepares her for when she's in situations where people are about to take her for granted or take advantage of her. So how did it happen with this child? They kept on going. Coincidentally, I needed to change the school. I wasn't satisfied with the output in terms of curriculum. So I went to get another school for them. And this school was warmer. They had really good safeguarding principles and everything. And so we're in Lagos, I think 2, 3 years ago for Christmas, and I get a phone call. It's from that her friend that was really toxic. And these kids were in primary 1 when this thing was happening. That girl used to say the most toxic stuff. for a child. And so I knew that child was coming from a toxic home or had an adult that was, coming at them. And so this family calls, and the mother is so excited to speak to me and say, oh, her daughter wants to speak with my daughter. And I turned to her, I said, Elena, so person is on the call. She looked at me and said, no, mom, I don't want to talk to her. I said, cool. If you're a parent that insists that I have told you stop working with these people, your child turns it around to be that it's an obedience battle. You don't get her. But if you use self-awareness as a principle and say, baby girl, you have a weakness, so you give without thinking, and everybody around you know that you're generous. So people are going to take from you more than they give you. That sounds like self-leadership, bricks that the child can work with when you're not there to see all the other people that want to take advantage of them. All right. So if you make it all about what you want to see and not about their personality, their vulnerability, their self-awareness, you lose the battle. Now, and I put this side by side with self-esteem because to raise a girl with a sense of friendship navigation, they have to have a good self-esteem. And this self-esteem looks something like this. First, they're self-aware of their strength and weakness. Then they accept themselves that, man, this is who I am. Excuse me, I'm not changing jack about myself. And then they have self-respect. So self-esteem comprises awareness, acceptance, and respect. Now, you want to raise a child that knows their weakness and accepts it, not from the perspective of this is my problem, I cannot overcome it, but this is my problem, I need to pay attention to it. I don't need to be somebody else because of this problem. I will master it and I'll overcome it, but I don't need to wish to be somebody else. Let me tell you, I say this any day, anytime, and I say it from the depth of my heart. I first heard it from an actress, Dakore Ebuson, and it hit me. I was watching a video and she said she's never met a woman she wanted to be like. As I'm sitting down here, I have never met anybody that I wanted to be like. I can be inspired by people's goals. I can be inspired by the achievement, but to want their reality is enough, all right? So self-acceptance means I not only accept my personality, I accept my family, I accept my home, I accept my reality, I accept the level of wealth that we have. I'm not missing anything. So if you want a child to have a sense of self-esteem, there needs to be contentment that they have. So I talked about self-awareness. I'm not talking about self-acceptance. The child does not feel that another child that has a more beautiful bag is better than they are, or just because they don't have certain things, they are less than other people. Those are the things that make them vulnerable to trying to be cool in school, to be in the wrong cliques that take advantage of them. So you want your daughter to have a rock solid self-esteem. If you think your daughter doesn't have a rock solid self-esteem, you can send me a private chat. I have a special course on it that we did 2-3 weeks ago. It has a class for girls and a class for mothers. So I don't want to spend a lot of time here, but if a child doesn't have self-esteem, they can't lead themselves. A child that doesn't think that they are of value, think every other person is of value. So the others lead and they just follow. So the second thing I want to talk about, let me hear what you've heard under self-awareness and self-esteem before I go to the second thing. I'm a teacher. I need to hear people that I'm teaching. You understand? Pardon me, all right? Let me hear you. Let me hear what you've heard so far. I've talked about principles of self-leadership, starting with pillar 1, which is self-awareness and self-esteem. So let me hear what you have to say, all right? I need 2 comments so that I can progress. It helps me know that I'm not talking to myself. I'm grateful for your participation. Don't just be here by participant count on this Zoom. Make sure you say something. Let me hear something you've heard, something that stood out for you. Okay, to not only my daughter, all my children, I try to teach them contentment. Excellent. And contentment says, I love where I am. I don't need to have everything to love where I am, right? Thank you so much, Ebony, for that feedback. Not only my daughter, all my children, teach them contentment. In fact, yesterday I had a class with a group of parents that they're on a journey to helping their daughters overcome the pressure to lie. And so we had done the girls session 2 weeks ago. So yesterday was a parent session, and I mentioned something to them, and they believe that another person's reality is so cool that they want to, they want to have that too. I told them that tell your daughters that when they are wowed by people, that is not the time to be friends with those people. If all you see in the person is all the perfection, you're going to tell lies about who you are, because yeah, that was a connection. It's not taking things, it's telling lies. Telling lies in school that, oh, we live in this kind of house, we went for this kind of vacation, my dad drives this kind of car, works in this kind of place. I say it comes from the pressure when they see other children have a reality that they think they cannot afford. So we need to raise girls who are content that, oh, cool, you have that reality and I have mine. And there's a beautiful story in mine as well. All right. To point out values and give them reason, which they can apply in different situations, instead of saying, obey me, do what I tell you. Because here's the thing, obedience may not lead to applying it in other areas, but teaching them principles means they will obey you. And in addition, when circumstances change, they'll still make responsible decisions. All right. So let's go to the second pillar. So many of us parents, in fact, there's a video I put up today and it's for that. It applies to that. So many of us tell our children things that we don't even know it's not clear what we are saying. For example, I tell my children, choose your friends wisely. Choose your friends wisely. The question is, what does that mean? Should I choose friends that are intelligent? Should I choose friends that like me? You know, the information we provide our children is not adequate. All right. The information we provide our children is not adequate. So anything you want to teach a child, you must fill them up with enough knowledge. Who is a friend? What makes friendships worth it? Is it okay if a friend does this to someone? Is it okay if a friend does that to someone? What are the signs that show that something is off? Now, if you're preparing children for self-leadership and you're providing adequate knowledge, you would find that you're not talking about their friends, you're just teaching them. So for example, if you saw your daughter coming with a friend named Noye, and you now start telling her, this Noye, why is her earring like this? Why did she dress? Why is her skirt that short? Why is she wearing boots? Is that tattoo I saw on her neck? Your daughter's response to you is to defend Noye. But adequate knowledge says, this is what you need to know about friendships. There's something I taught girls quite a while ago. That was one of my first boot camps, all right? One of my first boot camps. I told them that, I asked the girls on the group, I said, okay, let's see how many people have really great friends. And everyone was ready. I said, number one, your friends have to be very close to their parents so that when you people meet in your circle, they bring information from trusted adults. And ultimately that makes you people wiser. So your friend has to be someone who is close to their parents, have a good relationship with their parents. That's number one. Number two, your friend has to be someone that is conscious about honoring God. That's number two. I said, then number three, your friend has to be someone that can remind you when you're derailing, when you're going off course. I said, no, your parents will not be pleased with this, or God will not be pleased with this. I think that class was for 9 to 11-year-olds or 12 to 14. When I was done, I said, okay, how many people here think that they have great friends? It was flimsy. I don't think there were up to 2 children on that call. Now, based on those things I told them, when they leave the hall and go to school, they start saying, which of my friends here really honors God? Which of my friends is close to their parents? Which of my friends that can tell me that what I'm doing dishonors God? Because I told them that friendship should fortify you. And friendships, you have to be mindful of the fact that everyone is a chameleon. Your friendships are your environment and you're going to reflect them. So if you're with people who don't honor God, soon your choices will show you don't honor God. If you're with people who don't honor their parents, soon you're going to be that person. So in teaching them that, I'm literally giving them the blueprint. Instead of saying, choose friendship, well, oh my God will guide you. I've told you, leave bad company, leave bad company. What is bad company? Clearly defining what bad company is. Clearly defining what bad company is empowers the child to use that metrics in any other circumstance. So remember, the child is self-confident. They're not trying to copy anyone. And here you are, you've provided them knowledge. Then you start to provide them skills. What does skills mean? Skills says, what are the situations that my daughter will find herself in? How should I prepare her? So I'm going to go back to my previous screen and then try to explain to you what skill is. Let me go back. Based on the things we're concerned about. So wrong values. So what do you mean by wrong values? So for example, in my home, I may tell my children that taking alcohol is wrong. So, but my daughter will show up in school and another child may think that Alcohol is not a bad thing. My father said that if you take alcohol, as long as you don't take much and you don't get drunk, it's not a sin. So I'll tell my daughter that in the event that this value we're teaching you, come across anybody, excuse me, who thinks differently about it, I want you to do this. Listen to them, say, oh, wow, that's a good perspective. Don't have conversations with people to convince them. And don't have conversations with people like you're debating. The person with the highest voice is the one that wins. So I'm upskilling my daughter that your values are your values. You're going to encounter people that have a different value. It's not the person that talks about it the most. And when you're presenting it, you're not presenting it for their opinion. You leave home knowing that this is the right thing. If it comes up, so I'm telling my daughters, as you get to school, whatever comes up, you're not there presenting, it's not an audition of whose values are stronger or better, who argued the most, who had the most points. Is that you're leaving home knowing that this is the right one. This is the right one. My mother knows what she's saying. My father knows what they're saying. And I will not pick what another child is saying over what my parents said. So skill is saying, when this thing happens, this is what you should do. The second thing, handling rejection. They are with friends. They were trying to be friends with someone and the person rebuffs them or used to be close with them. Then they start being friends with another person. So you don't want your child to be disintegrated, crying, begging, they say, okay, don't worry, I'll give you this. Like they're begging for people to be their friends. You tell them that, look, people grow apart. Somebody can wake up one day and they have a new excitement. Anytime someone has a new excitement that you're not a part of, don't think something is wrong with you, right? First thing you should do is ask yourself, did we have any disagreement that were unresolved? Are there things I kept on doing that was not okay with this person? When you do that, you can sit with the person and say, oh, let's resolve this issue. Are there things I did? I said, but even in apologizing to the person and making sure, did you do something? You need to give yourself permission to say, whoa, I might have done something and I'm going to apologize, but I'm going to rather stick with a friend who sits with me to think it through. And when somebody walks away from me, they're not really rejecting me. Their values have changed. And if I'm no longer a part of it, it's okay. And I'll tell my daughters that even you can grow apart. You can grow, you can wake up one day and things you used to joke about, you don't want to joke about it anymore. And your friend doesn't want to make an adjustment. So you start to reduce how much time you spend with them. You're trying to save yourself. So honor it when somebody is trying to stay away from you. Just find out from yourself, is there something that I'm doing that could be undermining the friendship? Learn from it and move on. The relationship does not need to be restored. You can learn from that experience for another scenario. What about unhealthy competition? Teach your child how to identify. That's the skill. So if you're talking up to a friend and you want to join a club and they say, you cannot. If you have a friend that's always talking down on you, talking about the shape of your body, making fun of your fashion sense, they continue to look for something to change in your body. That person is making you conscious of inadequacies more than you should be conscious of your strength. And what is inadequacy in the first instance? That your friend is overwhelmed with certain beauty standards and they're coming after you. So once somebody starts to, every time they poke, you can't do this, you can't do this, you can't do this, you tell your child that that's a sign that you're not supposed to be in that space at all. Misleading friendship, they smile with you when you're alone, when they see other people. I say, whenever you see that, know that somebody is gossiping about you. And if you were ever telling that person your personal stuff, it's time to stop because. So do you get? So you're looking at those fears that you have and asking yourself, what are the situations that will lead my child into this kind of circumstance? What skill should my child acquire in the process? All right, what skill should my child acquire in the process? So again, we are starting with self-awareness and self-esteem. We're giving adequate knowledge. We're giving adequate skill, right? Mainstream means what they need to know now. Complementary could be information from another thing that they apply in that thing. Let me give you an example. One day you tell them that oil and water doesn't mix. And they say, how does that work? Say, I'm telling you, the texture, that's what values are. If you come from a home where the value is watery, and you come from a home where there's anointing and oil, it won't be able to mix. Look for things that are, one day one of my daughters told me that she has evidence in God that the LGBTQ movement is not truth. When they say people were born that way, it's not truth. I say, why? She said that she noticed that everything God creates is opposite. I said, what do you mean? She said, look at your hands, left hand, right hand, that God designed opposites to match. That's her own. All right. Now let's go. That's where her own convictions were building from, which brings me to the third pillar about conviction. Now, parents, you can provide a child knowledge, show them the skill. If they don't have the conviction that what you're saying is doable or is necessary, did you notice I didn't say the right thing? If your child feels that something you're saying is not doable or is not necessary, if your girls think that all these rules about friendship is not doable, nobody can follow through this thing, they will not hear, or is not necessary, or that you're being zealous, they won't take in what you're saying. So conviction is about talking in a manner. First, let me go back. Conviction is about having the right environment for talking with your child in such a manner that they agree with you, buy into what you're saying, and they're willing to do it on their own. They have to know that it's doable. They have to believe that what you're telling them to do is doable and it's necessary. Some of us are talking to children who think that what we're saying is not doable or is not necessary, or they feel that mommy's zone is too much. Once those kind of layers are there, you won't break through. So how is conviction built? Relational conversations. They are not really knowledge-based. Like, for instance, sharing your experiences when you were a child with friendships and not making it look like you're preaching, just having conversations. That's the first part. The second part is answering questions they have. You're talking about friendship and your daughter starts to say, Mommy, but what if this happens? But what if that happens? Some parents will say, I'm telling you something, you're asking me another question. No, the process of asking you that question is so that they take upon themselves what you're saying and meditate on it. Children produce what they meditate on. Right? Children produce what they meditate on. So when they start asking you, what is, but mommy, my classmate said this, one of my teachers said this, is it true? That's because they are beginning to mix what you were telling them with what they're experiencing in their day-to-day. And for so many of us, say, please, I don't have time to answer a question. If your child is not asking questions, you don't know what they believe. You don't know whether their belief is shifting towards the direction of the values that you're trying to teach. So what that means is have an atmosphere where your children can ask you follow-up questions freely on this subject matter of friendships. So I move to the next slide. Now, remember, I was talking to you about skills. So let me talk to you about principles for friendships now that you need to tell your child some of the information you need to pass. Number one, you don't choose, your friends don't choose you, you choose friends, right? Somebody likes you is not a reason to be friends. However, don't choose a friend who doesn't like you, but you can't become friends just because the person likes you. It has to be that they have a value in addition to liking you. So they need to step back. Now, some friendships build circumstantially. They're in school, they do lessons together. So I move them to the next area, which is that I have something called a concept of friendship circle. So I wanted to have it on my slide, but I forgot. I'm just remembering now. So I don't know if a parent could just pick a biro, draw a big circle, then draw another circle inside that big circle, then draw another smaller circle, like so it becomes a circle in a circle in a circle. All right, so you can actually use that to teach your girls. All right, let me see if I can draw it and show it here. 3 circles. All right, so I don't know if you can see my screen. Let me just make sure. Can you see what I have on? Let me see. Okay, my camera is blurry. Let me make it sharp. All right. Fantastic. Can you see my screen? A circle in a circle in a circle. Let me see. Maybe someone can draw it, snap it, and put it on the chat or something. All right. Fantastic. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right. All right. So here's what it works. Here's how it works. I tell my children that the biggest circle in that thing is people you meet in this world, celebrities. Celebrities, people at school, people that you don't know much about them. I call them acquaintances or circle of everyday people. I say these people are people that you don't take advice from. You don't go to them to tell what your problem is. You just see them. I say, for instance, the celebrity that you hear about, they're just everyday people. They're not part of the people that influence you. I said the second circle are people that you meet in school, they have some values, but they're not totally trustworthy. Let me give you an example. I used to use this example. I say you may have a girl in your class that is so good at math, and you like her for the fact that she's good at math, and you get her during prep to teach you, but she loves boys, writes notes to boys, loves to talk about partying, talks about vulgar things. I say for the benefit of the math you get from her, she's in the second circle. But for the people in the second circle, somewhere in your head, you have exactly what you get from each one. You have exactly what you're doing with each one. I say, but if somebody is in your circle of thought, meaning that you benefit something from them, but you don't agree with their values, God demands you pray for those people. That means somewhere in your wall, in your wardrobe, you can open the door and paste names of people in your circle of thought that you're praying for the love of God to reach to them, for them to make changes, because they have things you're benefiting from. So then your circle of thought, you pray for them, right? But your core friendship circle is the smaller circle inside. They are the people that must tick those 3 boxes. Have a great relationship with their parents, have a great reference for God, and will be able to tell you if you're going off. If somebody doesn't check those 3 boxes, they're in your circle of thoughts. They are not in your circle of friendships. Circle of friendships, I told them, everybody needs a space where they can be themselves, they can share their thoughts, they can share their ideas. So you want to make sure that you're sharing with people that you don't risk picking the wrong values. So you remember when we had that fear of, so they don't pick the wrong values, right? If they practice friendship circles. One time I did friendship circle activity with a child, and the child told me that there's nobody in the inner circle. I said, there's someone in the inner circle in your school. Maybe you don't consider them cool. You don't know them yet, or you have refused to interact with them. Go and prioritize them and find a way to make friends with them. Do you get the idea? So they choose friends, but then friendship circles matter. I also tell my children that when it comes to saying I had a secret I told someone, I tell them to keep secrets in the family. When you're a minor, keep secrets in the family. Don't burden your peers with secrets. Don't burden them. Don't tempt them. They're young, they have weaknesses, they can blow you up. Don't burden them. So secrets are not told to people that are not family. Then the third part is that friendship is earned and reciprocal. Earned means somebody needs to clearly demonstrate that they have the 3 things you're looking for before they're in your circle. So you don't ascribe it to someone because of how cool they look or because you'll be in a clique with them. No, you tell yourself the person honors God, honors their parents, and can call me, they can hold me accountable. They can hold me accountable to get on track. But it's also reciprocal. That means to be in a good friendship circle, you have to be thoughtful towards your friends. You're not the only one checking where your friends are of good value. You too need to make sure you're close to your parents so that when you sit down to talk with friends, you bring something valuable from your parents, wisdom from your parents into the circle. You also honor God yourself, and you can hold your friends accountable. So for me, in a nutshell, for a simple class like ours for tonight, these are the principles to teach our girls. And it cross-cuts and deals with a lot of our fears. So now for all these things I'm saying you need to teach your girls, to be honest with you, I started thinking about this a while back and said, look, parents need support too. Parents need support. Parents need support to ensure that their girls are learning what they need to learn, be it about themselves, their environment, the skills they need to acquire. So September last year, September 2023, I started a mentoring circle for girls called the 10 over 10 Girl Squad, where every month girls are coming, they're building their self-esteem, they're building their own work with God. Because if you tell a girl that she should look for friends that honor God, she herself needs to prioritize her work with God. And so we're building that in. What you're teaching them how to choose friendships. I mean, a couple of times this year, we taught them about the value chart. We give them a value chart and say, okay, circle the values that your friends have. Because sometimes that's it. Are your friends trustworthy under this category? What are the values your friends have? So we have a very practical way where we are building these skills in girls, and we've done quite a bit. We've gotten very positive reviews, helping them learn how to be principled. Everywhere they go, help them choose purity, regardless what their friends or people around them are saying, and remembering that honoring their parents is such a priority. So there are several parents on the platform and the program. They have nice things to say about what their daughters are learning. And so these are some of the testimonials that we've received. Yep, quite a number of them. So how are we working to support parents in 2025? That's the purpose of this conversation. I need to disable annotation. Somebody is drawing on the screen. Usually I see that when my girls are on the call. So I think there's someone whose phone is, maybe the person is not aware that their phone is moving up and down. So we have 3 packages we're offering parents in 2025. The first one is called the squad meal. What does the squad meal look like? Every month, we'll send your daughter one email. It will have an article, it will have a video lesson. The video lessons are on body safety or personal leadership, which is essentially character development, all right? So it can be body safety, it can be character development. They get one video a month. And then they also get the opportunity to fill a form and ask me any question they have. Now, when they send in questions, there are 2 ways they get feedback about their questions. We either email them back their questions, and in addition to that, some of those questions will make it to our Q&A video for the next month. So the next month, when we're recording the lesson for that month, we'll now, so person from this city sent in this question, and we'll answer the questions according to different age groups so that they learn from each other's questions. So the squad meal is going for 36,000 naira for 1 year. And then we have the full squad, which is what we are currently doing now. The girls get 5 lessons every month. 3 of them are pre-recorded on our platform, and 2 are live sessions that will every month. We have Bible study, body safety, leadership pre-recorded. Then we have a Bible live session and a leadership live session. So all of that also goes along with resources that build their faith. We have a talent community where girls with the same interest and talent work together. For example, we have girls who draw, girls who love science, and they just come together to implement projects, and it's just wonderful. On a monthly basis, they'll get a mentor check-in, someone calling to check up on you and them to know how they're doing. And parents also get quarterly lessons, on how to, marry the things we're teaching and applying them in their homes. This package is going for 150,000 naira per year for the year, 12 months of learning, 5 lessons each month. We have a third package, which is called the Squad Circle. Squad Circle is currently exclusively for Abuja. In addition to having what is on the full squad, each month we'll have one physical meeting with the girls where we talk about, now that mentor check-in now happens physically for the girls on the Squad Circle. So if you're a parent out there and you feel like, oh, I think I would need this for my girls in 2025, here's what you can do. There are forms I'm going to say, yeah, or go ahead and just fill this form. I'll send Auntie Esther the links to this. All right. You can sign up to learn more about how the program works. Right now, we have a December class. And so you can try the December class for 3-5 to see whether you like the structure, whether your daughter will follow the lessons and so on. If you're also raising boys, my husband runs a similar mentoring program for boys called Boys to Kings. And so I can always send this link. So at this point, yes, Auntie Esther's daughter, I think, is on the squad. Thank you so much. So at this point, I am ready to answer whatever questions it is that you may have. I did that teaching for 40 minutes. I took extra 10 minutes, I think. All right, so I'd like to answer any questions that you may have, whether it's about what I shared, another thing entirely with your girls, and maybe about the link for the boys. I'm going to send it to Auntie Esther. Okay, let me just put all those links here. tinyurl.com/boys to kings. Go ahead and fill the form. You get information on it right away. All right, for the girls is tinyurl.com/squad25. And so if you want to learn more about the December class and how you can sign up, just send me a WhatsApp message on this number and I would be more than happy to help. All right. I would be more than happy to help. So I don't know if anyone has any questions whatsoever. We know when we started, we had 2 goals. The two goals was we'll be able to identify the things that we are concerned with, but we'll also learn the core principles around things we want to teach our daughters for when it comes to friendship. And I feel like I was able to do that. But now it's your turn to tell me whether you got what we had promised. Okay, so I'm waiting to hear questions, concerns, whatever it is, I'm happy to be able to answer. All right. Fantastic. Oh, and Tessa, thank you so much. You said you got value. Thank you so very much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We appreciate you for that. Thank you for organizing this. Thank you for relentlessly making sure this session happened. Thank you so much. Yeah, and I didn't apologize. I moved the session from yesterday to today because we had another session on hand. Thank you so much for an insightful session. Thank you. And to see how you finally spoke. Thank you. Thank you so very much. In the meantime, while we're saying that we got value, I'd like to hear like one thing you're going away with, one thing you're going away with. I'm so happy I didn't miss this. It was quite insightful. Thank you. So tell me one thing that was insightful. Tell me one thing you're going away with. It could be something you're going to start doing, something you're going to stop doing, something you were doing before and you didn't know it was that effective, but now you know it is effective. I'd just like to hear you echo it so that I'm sure that I'm not being hyped, because I don't like being hyped. I like people going away with information that they can actually put to use so they can get the results that they desire. All right. So I'm going to stop sharing now. I know that the community is way larger than this, so I will send you links to replay for the session completely. All right. Questions, 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 please. Questions and then comment about what we took away. This was a large class. I'm grateful to everyone that made it here. Thank you so much. I want to call everyone's name and just say thank you to you for coming out today. So I'm starting out with Auntie Modupe Dohati, Afolabi, thank you. Kola Wale was yes, CI, Ekemini Tibanj, fantastic. TI, Emanuela's iPhone, Uzoma, Auntie Esther, Chef Ronke, Bridget. I hope I'm not missing anybody. Everyone is valuable. Thank you so much for being here tonight. China Gorom, thank you. Ebony Lee, I think. Thank you so very much. I saw somebody's name with Samsung. I know that cannot be your name. Then there's Uzom as well. Thank you so much for coming out tonight. I see Rita. Thank you. I think Rita is just joining in. Thank you so much for being a part of tonight's session. I would take to answer my girls' questions, okay? I'll take time to, and she can't talk too much. Mama, you have a prejudice with that statement you just made, that she can talk too much. She can talk the way she does for a reason. We're going to do I'm going to share the recorded session. She can talk too much for a reason because she's designed like that for a purpose. So what we're supposed to do instead is guide her on how to speak. So for example, this December on the squad, our last leadership session is titled Don't Talk Like That. So we're teaching the girls how to talk, but not to reduce the talking, because if she's designed to be a coach, a mentor, a public speaker, an on-air personality, that talk is going to be useful in her future. So your responsibility is not to make her feel she talks too much. Your responsibility is to teach her the principles for speaking responsibly. All right, so that in the process, she doesn't look at something that is intended as a gift by God as something that is problematic. You get the idea? And she's my girl. If she's on the squad, she's learning the etiquette of communication. Thank you so very much. Yes, we're going to have a recorded version. I was already streaming on YouTube. I'm going to send all the links to Auntie Esther so she can forward it to everyone. Thank you so much for being here. I see I don't have any question. Is that a good thing that people don't have questions? Was it clear enough? Because some people say people don't have questions when they're overwhelmed. They didn't get it. They didn't understand. But I believe that we got it. So I want to thank everyone for coming out tonight. May God bless you. So we have a culture at Raising Girls. When we are closing out a session, we like people to unmute their mic so that we can hear their voices as they say bye-bye. So we like to hear that last bye-bye, good night from everybody.
Thank you so much, Ma. Bye.
Thank you so much, Auntie Bridget. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Have a beautiful evening. Thank you. Thank you. Please unmute your mics, please. If you want to speak, please unmute. Feel free to unmute your mics so that we can hear your voices. Thank you. Oh, thank you so much for coming out tonight. Thank you. Thank you very much. God bless you. Oh, Auntie Kolawole said it was crystal clear. Thank you so